Yeah, what a day. Moreno Valley S show. They arrested a dude in the Pacific Palisades fire after what, 6 months on that and the whole fiasco of that. Good job, Bill Asaley, our U.S. District Attorney, all the people that got that done. We'll see how that goes. $20 billion in unemployment fraud that's been perpetrated, and California citizens are going to have to pay it back en masse. Oh, isn't it lovely? Gang member facing the death penalty here in the IE. Vote no on 50 and all that, but there you've got her, Miss Potato Head, as she's known, Katie Porter. She was a congresswoman from down in Orange County. Shows you how far Orange, formerly Red County, has fallen. She is a total psycho chick. First part, in her divorce proceedings about 10 years ago, her husband said she poured a boiling hot skillet, boiling hot water over his head because she wasn't getting what she wanted. The house wasn't clean enough. She breaks the coffee pot into a gazillion pieces. We get to her using her 12-year-old daughter as a political pawn for, and shows you how deep TDS, Trump derangement syndrome is. Absolutely incredible. The big news of the day, as we say, was there was an arrest made in the Pacific Palisades fire. We put it up on IA Newswires. It broke this morning. You see Bill Asaley out there making the announcement that they have made an arrest of Jonathan Rendeneck. And I'm probably butchering his name, as I can so expertly do. He was arrested in Florida after they had questioned him earlier this year and he gave false answers. They didn't have enough evidence. Well, they've done their due diligence. Again, the great Bill Asaley, our U.S. District Attorney out here in Central and Southern California, made the announcement today. Absolutely, 1,000% on the job for these guys. We couldn't be in a better place. Here's Asaley with the initial part of the announcement. We thought, why is Mr. Asaley not talking? Well, anyway, we'll get to that later on. California voter fraud alert. A dead woman was mailed a ballot. She's been dead since 1994. We kid you not. We'll see if this one plays. ABC7 report. You.
Has just a single item. Prop 50 would redraw the congressional lines here in California, gerrymandering them in favor of Democrats after Texas Republicans did the same thing there. But we spoke.
First part was true. Yes, California's gerrymandering them. Texas is not. Texas is under court order from the Biden administration. See, even though they can only get it half right, even though we've been badgering them and a few others of the dominant ding dong media, yes, they did frame it right. It's a Newsom gerrymander to the max. Texas is not gerrymandering. They are under court order from a case sued by the Biden administration. Here's more on the voter fraud. And the dead woman from over 31 years getting a ballot mailed to a house where she is not residing and hasn't for at least 31 years. Here we go.
To one voter who received an additional ballot at his home for a woman who's been dead for decades. Eyewitness News political reporter Josh Haskell spoke to the LA County Registrar about election integrity and readiness.
5.8 million ballots have been mailed out to every registered voter in LA County ahead of the November 4th special election on redistricting. Los Angeles resident Jeff Berry received 3 ballots, one for him, one for his wife, and a third ballot for someone he doesn't know, Winona M. McGuire.
It was not the family from whom we bought the house last spring, and I wasn't familiar with it. So I Googled it, and I was a bit surprised by what I found.
Barry discovered that the person's name who was on the third ballot passed away back in 1994. Not knowing what to do with the ballot, Barry reached out to Eyewitness News, who also verified that Winona M. McGuire has been dead for 31 years.
We get junk mail all the time for prior tenants, and the people that moved into our house probably get junk mail for us, and you throw it away. But this was very different.
We're not talking about someone that passed away a year or two ago. It does seem like that death certificate should have made its way to your office.
Right. And I'd have to look.
And I'd have to look at it. You get the standard bureaucratic BS crap from these guys. 31 years. This is how the voter fraud works. Because they can put, even though they're not voting, that's on the voter registration. You got 20%, 25%, 50%. Almost it was in LA County. Well, hell, you could have 110% of actual registered or people that are actually eligible to vote voting. But you could say, oh, well, we only had 75% turnout because you got 40%, 50%. The people there either are dead, moved away, moved out of the county, moved out of the state, maybe felony convictions. Whatever. And I get the machines part, and there's skullduggery going in that, but it pales in comparison to the old-fashioned voter fraud that's been going on for decades and, I might add, perfected in good old California. Kash Patel, the FBI director, made a note. His claim, out of the 2.5 million residents in Chicago, Illinois, 5% or 110,000 of them are active gang members. Hey, this is Kash, the FBI director, not Roy.
Taking the juggernaut that is demolishing the weaponization of law enforcement and bringing it to places like Chicago. When I was there today with Todd, we learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members. That's right. You heard me right. They had 1,200 shootings this year alone, 360 homicides. When politicians choose to side with those metrics and not their citizenry, thank God we have President Trump and this Department of Justice and this FBI going in there and crushing violent crime. And
yes. That's the reason they're going in there. 5%. 5% of the population, folks, is gang members in Chicago. No wonder the murder rate's out of control. And everything else. It's a cartel, gang-run city. Lock, stock, and barrel. Another one, great reporter John Solomon came out at the Senate hearings yesterday, led by Chuck Grassley. A letter sent to Kash Patel and Pam Bondi by Senators Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley. They have evidence Biden's DOJ was directly involved in helping start Jack Smith's witch hunt of Trump. Biden's DOJ secretly obtained Trump's phone. And I agree, arrest Merrick Garland and Jack Smith. They were tapping Donald Trump's phone. While he was a political candidate running against Hillary Clinton, and then they grab his phone and tap it while Biden is president. We cannot tolerate this stuff for any reason. Get to the Harmeet Dillon, our assistant district attorney, who says none other than Newsom threatening her, someone's going to get hurt, at a minimum, if not killed, if this stuff keeps going on at the pace it is. Retail is dead. This is Ryan White, who gave a presentation, the Moreno Valley City Council, on a development they're doing at the district. Very fine development. He tells you why Moreno Valley is an S show and retail is dying. The brick and mortar stores probably by the end of this decade, if not within 10 years, will probably be almost non-existent. The other story at the Moreno Valley S show, we had the Planning Commission fiasco of appointments 4 months ago in May. It started off, Mayor Baby Jesus is trying to pull the same political gang run, cartel run. I'm the dictator king, kiss my ring. I'm Baby Jesus. He tried claiming council member, his colleague Ed Delgado of the 2nd District, made a nomination of a person he never seen before, does not know. Here we go.
Get back to the dais for council questions of staff. Just one question, Madam Clerk. Of these nominees that are on this slate, I think maybe with the exception of one for the Planning Commission, were all of these recommended by their council member?
So he's trying to cover that he didn't orchestrate and or put not only the commissioners, but the boards and commissions all on here. He's trying to run cover like I'm Mr. Innocent.
That is correct. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, see.
No. Denise Jimenez? No.
She, at least on the list that was sent to me, she showed as recommended from District 2.
No. I told her that there was no vacancies on the Planning Commission. If she wanted to choose one of the others, then she was more than welcome to. Now that when I saw her name on the list, I was very surprised because we had that conversation. Just for the record.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. Definitely some miscommunication there, but just to make it clear, the list that I got, it showed Denise Jimenez as recommended, but thank you for clarifying that. And
well, how the hell did this happen? We'll get more into this and many other topics on today's show. It's going to be a wild and woolly broadcast. Of course it is. We'll get to the Moreno Valley stuff here in just a bit. Breaking news that's coming on. Apparently, we have a deal, or Mr. Trump is announcing, that there is, at least in the first phase, a deal between, get the frog out of my throat, deal between Hamas and Israel, at least in the first part, to end the war. It's been going on there far, far, far too long, as they say. It'd be interesting to see how this works out. We'll see. Let's see. There you go. There you go. I don't know what's going on. Something's caught in my throat. Israel Hamas agreed to first phase of peace plan Trump announces. That just came across the wire about 10 minutes ago. One of the things that was surprising before we get to the psycho chick, Katie Porter, and this is why Moreno Valley and a lot of retail stores are going out. People want, oh, why aren't you putting retail in? And they complain about this and that. It's deader than a doornail. You guys, most of you, are buying stuff on your 3x5 screen and ordering it in the brown and the white and the blue truck. Bring it to you. Hence, you're not going to retail outlets like you used to. And as it was pointed out in the council meeting, council members, yeah, they're going to the nail salon, the dentist, where you can't do that. But most of the other stuff you're buying online. So here's Ryan White. They have a project coming up that did successfully get approved, but he's explaining, see, prominent developer explaining the realities of the retail situation.
But simply speaking to the fact that it is not a retail location. And frankly, again, we do retail. If it was a retail location, we would be looking at it. And so, why is it not a retail location? The biggest thing is really it's just not a prominent corner. You're sitting on a site that is across from what is unfortunately the Ironwood Plaza. No offense to it, but it's an underperforming center. You've got a massive SCE substation across the street on the north side of Ironwood. This is another shot of the Ironwood Plaza. And really, the challenge is in the immediate area, we have a lot of underperforming centers. If you go down to the Moreno Valley Plaza, down off of Heacock and Sunnymead, that's a big project, but has its fair share of challenges. Pigeon Pass is the same way. The Canyon Springs Crossing project is really challenging as well. So they're just, the reality is there's not enough retailers. You also now have on the southwest corner, the Rite Aid, which has gone out of business, sadly. So it's just
all of them, all the Rite Aids. Look at, he named 4 shopping centers. I can tell you the Moreno Valley Plaza, again, masqueraded by the Blecker Construction Company way back, starting in about 84. Had the first Lawns Pavilions, high dollar store because we had the best economic and education demographics. Now we get the worst. That's why the economy, and that's why your town sucks. Sorry to tell you the news. This is what you wanted. Don't pay attention to your city council. Don't pay attention to your school boards. Let them expose your daughters to naked men and boys and whatever. And this is what you're going to get. We did it to ourselves. Not that some of us didn't warn about it, but hey, we're told what bunch of idiots we were and didn't know what we were talking about and yada, yada, yada. There you go. So we're all clear on what's going on, why this isn't coming tonight, and you got, jeez. Get into the Katie Porter situation. What a mess that is. Of course, she's a 1,110% psycho chick. This was about 7 months ago, right at the end of last year. Before we get into the viral clip that's been going on this time that shows that she's a real nutcase, further that. She said her 12-year-old daughter came home from school crying because Trump just got elected. I'm not going to be able to get an abortion if I get raped and yada, yada, yada. What am I going to do? Just all upset and yada, yada, yada. Pulling at the heartstrings again and using false information. For one, Trump position has always exempted his pro-life position is rape, incest, or the life of the mother. We'll get to the psycho. This is what she said about 7 months ago. I don't even believe it's true. I think she made this stuff up. But we shall see. Here it is.
I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter.
This is from my 12-year-old daughter. Instead of saying, oh, wait a minute, honey, even though Trump's getting elected, he is exempting if you are raped, you can get an abortion. If your dad rapes you in incest, you can get an abortion. And again, look, sure, her 12-year-old's playing water polo. That's a pretty tough sport. Now, you usually don't have the girlies, the ones in high heels and the makeups and the hairdos and all that. Even some that starts at 12, depending on when the hormones are kicking in. If she's 12-year-old playing water polo, I don't think she's going to be an emotional wreck at 12 because Trump's going to get elected. And if I get raped, I can't get an abortion. And even if it did happen, which I'm saying is about a less than 1.3% chance of it really happening, that she didn't make this up, should have said, oh, sweetheart, I understand you're upset, but Mr. Trump has said, if you are raped, incest, or your health is in danger, you can get an abortion. So dry those tears. Maybe we'll go get a milkshake and everything will be fine. No, they run these false narratives like everything else to try and tug at your heartstrings like that. And, oh, almost crying. And, oh, honey, you're the mean Trump. What a lying witch. I haven't heard of one person said, oh, Katie Porter's a nice person. Every staff member she's ever had that has ever made a public or private statement said she's an absolute freaking witch. She's unbearable to work for, beyond demanding. So let's get to the clip that's been going around. And if that didn't convince you, that was earlier this year on Alex Michelson's The Issue Is. This is from Sacramento. They're doing people complain, well, why don't they do this? Well, Sacramento's interviewing all the candidates, 30-minute interviews for all the governor candidates. This is Katie Porter.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be.
So before we go more into that, 40%. 40% of the electorate of California, just like they're doing this, why you should vote no on 50 on the Newsom gerrymander, severe gerrymander. We're already gerrymandered. Even with the redistricting commission, they admitted it. We're going to go down to 7% Republican representation in Congress. They already admitted 40% of the California still, even though we're a deep blue state, 40% vote Republican, 60 Democrat, and a couple percent, but it's basically a 40-60 split. She's telling the 40% of Californians, F you. I don't need you. I'm going to tell lies like I did to my daughter or not correct her. I'm going to teach her how to hate. You got to hate Trump. That's how they control you, with fear. Here's a coup de grace.
Clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
But you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
think this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
I don't feel this is unnecessary and argumentative. She's like, oh, stop. You're not supposed to ask me any tough questions. No, nothing. Stop. You are not allowed. If you ever want an interview with me again, that's what she's signaling with this. You better stop it. Here we go.
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Well, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that.
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you.
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Thank you.
I'm going to call it. Thank you. I had to block her out because I just can't stand to look at Miss Potato Head. I'm going to call it. I don't like the question. I'm done. Just like she dumped the boiling pot of potatoes over her husband's head. I'm done. You. That's a legit question. Hey, don't try and backtrack it. Say, you know what? Stand up, Katie. Why don't you just say, F you to all you Trump voters. I hate you. I will lie to my daughter. I will make my daughter hate you and everybody that supported Trump.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
Now we 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask. No, you're supposed to. Katie Porter wants her. This is why our system has gone to hell in a handbasket. You have to submit the questions, and then I can come up with the scripted answers, and we're not supposed to go off script. How many times has this happened? This happens much more frequently as we have let our society degrade. I was talking to a gentleman who's in his early 20s after the council meeting at Marina Valley. Yeah, we're talking about the schools, and we'll get into this in a bit. He went through Marina Valley schools, went to the best ones we got, which 3 out of 4 kids are not at grade level. Half aren't even at a basic math or science or reading level. He says, I wasn't even taught fractions till I was in high school. He, in fact, went to the same elementary school, Midland, I went to. I said, in order to get out of the third grade, you had to be proficient in fractions. Else, you know what? You're going to repeat the third grade again and again and again until you got it right. The disservice we're doing to our kids and society, just like Katie Porter, fanning the flames of hate with her 12-year-old daughter, instead of comforting her, saying, yeah, no, you don't got nothing to worry about. Trump, if you get raped, Trump's not. In fact, Trump supports your right to an abortion if you're raped. And then Miss Potato Head has this absolute meltdown. She is symptomatic of what's wrong, not only in California, and I say don't let the cancer of California. You want Newsom, all you little ladies that your heart goes and your knees start knocking when you see Governor Gavy, because you have wet dreams about him. You keep on this track. Keep on this 147% emotional track. Hate the straight white male. Trump derangement syndrome. On and on and on and on. And again, with all of you, want to bring the other side of the story, please contact me. We'll most likely do it. I mean,
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
I'd even have Psycho Katie Porter in it. Oh no, I would love to have her do a I'm superior attitude. My blank don't stink like she did. Jesse said we'll be on the Mighty Met in a few seconds. We'll get into the Moreno Valley S show.
4 seconds. Here we go.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
That funky guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live, 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM. Join your vast video audience in the ULP Network, Rumble, X, YouTube, all that good stuff. Check us out, subscribe. We did the Katie Porter meltdown of that and the whole hate monger stuff. Big announcement Trump made. They have an agreement in principle, the first part between Israel and Hamas to end the war over there. So that's some good news that's just been breaking within the hour of that. Bill Saley made an arrest on the Pacific Palisades fire on the dude who potentially or is accused of starting it. Good news there. Dead woman from 31 years got a ballot mailed to her for the special election and vote no, no, no on Prop 50, the Newsom extreme. The biggest gerrymander of all time he's trying to pull off in California. Will go straight down the tubes if we keep this ish up. get into some of the local news hopefully later on. All that good stuff. As we said, last night at the council meeting, we had the Moreno Valley S Show Part 2. Set it up back in May. We made council appointments to the Planning Commission, or proposed, by Mayor Baby Jesus. He nominated his friends and cronies. In fact, one was not even eligible to vote, was not, per the rules, was not a registered voter. And on and on and on. He's appointing his political cronies. Well, we're trying to pull the same crap last night. And it got even worse. But as we say, guaranteed, you will not be disappointed in Moreno Valley, because don't say it can't get any worse, because it got 12 times worse last night. And this is one of the reasons why this Donovan Sadiq, he's the Inland Empire Informer. You can look him up on the social media. He comments, he lives here in town, he's been a long-time resident. He had this to say.
Government works and how these commissions work in public service. But one of the problems I do have is you have people that are residents, like Roy Bleckard, who's been here since the caveman dwelled and walked the earth. He has a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. You have a lot of people that have been here 30, 40 years plus. And we take that experience that they have and we just throw it to the side like it doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying
111% correct, Mr. Sadiq. They throw any sort of logic, any sort of what's good for the citizens, and just like Baby Jesus and his little sidekick, Erling Gonzalez, and the god over them all, Assemblyman Corey Jackson, it's all about us. Gabby Mendez, you put on their appointment of somebody that's on your, was campaigned for you, was not eligible to serve. How did that happen? Then we had the whole, we did on the opening. You were trying to cover your tracks on this whole deal. Saying, oh, all these nominations, except for one, were made by all the other council members. And Ed Delgado says, what the hell are you talking about? Well, he's nicer than that because Ed's a better person than I. Said, I didn't put this person on there. It says I did and all this. So he has, or somehow Erling Gonzalez, a sidekick, puts on Jason Ruiz. Well, who the hell is this? Appears to be in campaign mode or in campaign events with Mayor Baby Jesus Ulysses Cabrera and Councilman of the 3rd District, Erling Gonzalez. Daddy of Baby Jesus, Martin Cabrera, steps up. Guess who he recommends for the Planning Commission?
Anyways, by the way, in support to Mr. Jason for the Planning Commission, not many people take a position without any economic benefit.
For one, planning commissioners are paid a stipend. Two, he doesn't even know the guy's last name. This is Moreno Valley's finest. There's Daddy Baby Jesus making the recommendation of that. He hadn't been there in a while. Why is he showing up for that? Guess who else shows up? President of the crime syndicate, the Moreno Valley Unified Crime Syndicate, Sammy Luna. Guess who Sam recommends? Here we go.
Residents who want to see Moreno Valley thrive.
Moreno Valley thrive. Sam, please come in here and defend your record as a school board member. And what's your policies to correct the 3 out of 4 kids that are not at grade level, K through 12, in the school district you run 30,000 kids plus? Come on, Sam, please come in here and explain it to me and the rest of Moreno Valley. More from Sam I am.
Thrive economically, socially, and civically. I respectfully urge the mayor and city council to consider Jason's appointment. He's ready to contribute, ready to listen, and ready to help build a stronger, more vibrant Moreno Valley.
So what is this evidence that he will do that? We don't know who he is, where he came from. There's been no interviews. You can't see the applications. He put on his application for other committees, not even the Planning Commission. How the hell did he get on there? Well, we'll discover that here later on. But oh no, baby Jesus was on the first part, saying, "Oh no, I didn't have nothing to do, except for one, I didn't have nothing to do with this." Somebody that Ed Delgado just talked to and said, "Hey, Planning Commission's full," or email back, never seen before, never talked to, spoke to, just email back and forth. Supposed to be his recommendation that wasn't. After the fiasco back in May, you would think everything would be, all the I's would be dotted, T's crossed, double, triple checked. Here's Councilwoman Shaylinda Bernard, who kicked off after the public comments, who kicked it off with this.
And they are redacted. But then when we get to Mr. Ruiz's application, it looks like on the original application, Planning Commission was not even a selection.
What? He didn't even apply to be on the Planning Commission? How did his name get on there? Very legitimate question, Shay.
So what I would like to know is how we
got
from Planning Commission even being a selection and it being written down in third position. That's one question that I have. I also have another question regarding that application, because who wrote the third choice of Planning Commission? Because that's clearly not his writing. I'm no handwriting expert at all, not at all. But I can tell the ink is different. It looks like it was transposed, because his original appointments were Environmental and Historical Preservation Board, as well as Utilities and Commission Board. So would city clerk or anybody like to please elaborate on that?
Hold on, before you, there's also an additional question. It says, do you have any immediate family members serving on the city council or employed within the city of Moreno Valley? Is that?
Man, oh man. It's almost defies explanation. How does it get on there?
Putting together the staff report, I was checking all of my applications, all of the recommendations by the respective council members, And his did stand out because he did not have option number 3 listed. So myself, me doing my due diligence, I contacted him and I asked him, I said, you know, Mr. Jason Reese, I'm reviewing your application. I do notice and I do see here that you did not select the Planning Commission as one of your options. So, you know, I need to get clarification from you. And he said, oh, yes, I spoke to a council member and they did recommend me to the Planning Commission. And I said, okay, so he spoke to the respective council member. So I moved forward with.
So why do we even have applications? Why even apply? Because the council members or the mayor or whoever's directing this just puts on whoever they want. Ha 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 to all you people that put in applications, because it was already predetermined who baby Jesus Erlin or Corey Jackson or whomever wanted to put on there. This is Bell, California, Rizzo, the whole thing. This is where the Moreno Valley clown show is going. This is how Bell, California, or any other corrupt or Chicago gang run, cartel run, whatever. You got Fat Boy Pritzker and that ding dong mayor that was put in there by the teachers and the school cabal. Who you got here? The leader of the crime syndicate. Start putting all the pieces together.
Everyone can do, and it is a recommendation of the mayor's slate, whatever. I think one of the same problematic issues that I have too is that I am looking at this, and I already have Councilmember Delgado saying that there was a recommendation on here that for whatever reason he didn't recommend that move forward. And so now I'm looking at this entire thing, and where as one member of the community put it, we are back at square one.
Guess who that member of the community was? Oh, man. You can predict this stuff as the sun's going to rise in the east here in Moreno Valley and set in the west as it's doing right now. Even at a more certain rate than that.
And I'm going to be very nice about it, nicer than other people have been on Planning Commission when they've given their closing comments, and they're probably going to go to the next Planning Commission meeting and make yet another closing comment and just say that, you know, either you want new blood on your Planning Commission or you don't. Either you really want people's input or you do not. And as far as I am concerned, hearing some of the concerns that are coming up, I personally do not feel comfortable with this Planning Commission slate. And that is where I stand at with it today. You all may deliberate, do what you want. I've been on the losing side of votes before, but I don't feel comfortable with this planning slate at all.
No truer words were ever spoken. This is what happened in May. We did nothing to further the process, make it transparent, do interviews, have all the applications as Dickie Stu asked for 10 years ago when he was council member and they ran the utility commission, and you're asking council members, the public and everybody else to vote or accept people on the planning commission or the utility commission or the arts commission. You don't even know how they got on there. How is that not tin horn dictator? I'm going to shove it down your throat. Gang run, cartel run, crapiola. That's how I put it. Now, Shay and Ed and all them, they put it much more nicely because they're better people than I am. But again, I'm going to say it in my effervescent, entertaining style. that I do. Here's the next one up on the hit parade. Here we go.
The city clerk and myself, so I'll take that. But I don't. Are we going to really hash this out again? Because nothing has changed since May. Nothing has changed. The couple players have changed, but the mentality of why this is the way it is has not changed.
Correct, Mr. Ed Delgado. Again, is 111% correct. The mentality has not changed. Baby Jesus is running the show. Erlin's going to puppy dog him all over the place, as you're going to see. We didn't reform the system. We ran in this show an hour and a half, gave them emails, resent it to them again Monday. How you correct this? Let's do the process. Let's do it transparent. Let everybody know, all the council members know. Public meeting, you interview all the candidates. You can ask all sorts of questions. I've said this 10 gazillion times on any elected body. Even if I disagree, I can live with any decision they're making as long as they're doing it on complete and accurate information. This is utterly, as far as 180-degree opposite of that. And again, you're going to be Bell, California, Rizzo run, Idi Amin, Hitler. You want to do it. This is how this stuff gets done. This is how it's done in Moreno Valley. Whether you're at the crime syndicate, Sammy Luna, running that, or Baby Jesus, look who recommended you promote to have that seat. Oh, Mayor Baby Jesus. Jose Medina, the supervisor, longtime assistant. The little cult. This stuff is, again, it's beyond predictable. Yeah, you're going to run the same thing over and over again, except for a different result, Baby Jesus. Erlin. You just figure you can nominate whoever you want, do whatever you want. Well, you think you were just going to bypass it or sneak it by everybody this time? That's what you're trying to do, I believe. I believe the evidence strongly, as it ever has, shows that. This is going to prove it, I believe, beyond any shadow of a doubt that has ever been. Finally, after 27 decades, I've been asking for them at the end of the meeting to give the council members the ability to put future agenda items on there out front so we can all see it, everything again. Nobody's, no Brown Act violation. That was one thing Baby Jesus made during that. Well, we can't talk about it because of Brown Act violation. That's why you have a public meeting. That's why Tom Owings did it 10 years ago when we did this. There is no Brown Act violation. If it's a public meeting, everybody's seeing it, but you can't hide. You can't do your little backroom deals and grease the palms, and I'm going to stay in power, and you're going to have to kiss my ring if you want anything done. So, Councilmember Shaylinda Bernard from District 4, much to her credit, in future agenda items says, hey, let's put it on the table and discuss it, of doing interviews and stuff on the Planning Commission. Let's just start with that. Most important commission we got, it actually makes decisions. most of planning decisions, 90% plus, are decided at the planning commission level. They never get to the council unless there's a legislative like change of zone, like was in the district's project, or somebody appeals it, or a council member pulls it. That rarely happens, maybe 10% or less of the time. The Arts Commission, and they're nothing against them, or Historical Board or whatever. They're all just recommended bodies. And, whatever. No decisions are made. They can't make policy, spend money, or do anything. They can just make they can have hearings of that. Planning Commission's a different deal. It's just a step below City Council. So, Shay makes a proposal. Let's see how it goes.
Yes, my second item is I would like to make a motion that all planning commission appointments be conducted in open session in an interview process.
I second that motion.
Do you see the eye roll from baby Jesus? He's thinking, you know what he's thinking? OS. Erlen's looking at baby Jesus like, oh my God. We're getting put on the carpet here.
Councilmember Bernard,
Yes.
Councilmember Gonzalez,
No.
Councilmember Delgado,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Baca Santa Cruz,
Yes.
and then Mayor Cabrera.
No.
Thank you.
So they say they're all baby Jesus and Erlen about, I can put on whoever I want in the planning commission, but I'm for transparency and accountability and all this other stuff. They vote against transparency and accountability and letting you see, or letting you, the public, have ability to comment. And even if that is, I don't even know if the other council members saw all the other applications coming in or whatever, or stuff's getting changed, or people are not applying and getting appointed anyway. Well, of course they don't want to do interviews or have it out in public because they would be exposed. That's why you've seen the eye roll and the deer in the headlights looks from Erlen. So like I said, they're going, oh, blank, we've been caught. There's no doubt. There can any slightly semi-conscious, slightly reasonable person is going to look at this and say, ain't no way that there's any sort of semblance in Moreno Valley, whether it's at the Unified Crime Syndicate or the City Zoo, otherwise known as City Hall, or anything else, that this is nothing but a tin-horn dictator, show of a city. Hit a couple local stories here real quick before we bail out. Of course, the arrest was made in the Pacific Palisades fire. Biker gang bust here in the IE. 27 arrested, 9 guns seized on that. Heat is on a Yucaipa council member. They're in Yucaipa. He's been asked to resign over controversy of his wife's business contacts with the city. Gang member faces death penalty. Jurors weighing life in prison or death penalty for banning gang member who admitted murdering 5 people. CDB toilet paper. So you can calm your A down. Our meme of the day on that. Him at Fun Time in there, go out. They've got some fun times and games in their festival coming up. Check that out there in the great city of Hemet. Vote no on Prop 50. The gruesome Newsom gerrymander of gerrymanders of all times. You want our politics more effed up in California or Moreno Valley or Yuba City or everywhere in between, then vote for it. If you want some sanity, slight sanity, or taking us seriously, please vote against us. That'll do it for today. Take it away, Jesse. That'll do it for today.
All right. I will talk to you tomorrow.
You sit. Bye.
Bye.
Ah.